So here's a interesting article that was sent to me by one of the members of the RTD community. And so I had a couple of thoughts I want to share with this. And this has a lot to do with the current economic conditions we're in with this whole tariff situation and the likelihood of it continuing to slow down the global economy from a retail as well as a manufacturers, you name it. Every industry will be impacted by this. And so this article here plays into more of the real state of the economy on Main Street, outside of the Wall Street narrative that political figures and as well as mainstream news might want to have us believe, as far as the economy is doing great and all-time lows and this and that and all that gibberish. But yet here's a story that is quite telling of what the real life is like for majority of people. And so it says half of Americans are just one paycheck away from financial disaster. And then one of the main issues that I'm going to touch at the bottom of this article here has to do with what the preferred option might be if there's some type of financial hiccup that comes about as a surprise. Or I'm here to tell you that there probably won't be a surprise, because it's more than likely certain that there will be some consequences in our economy as a result of this trade situation. But it says many consumers would turn to dangerous fallback options in order to make ends meet. And of course, that fallback option they're going to refer to is taking out more debt. And so at the very bottom, it talks about how due to lack of savings, due to a lack of a wiggle room for most people to exist beyond this one paycheck, more than likely people will turn to debt. And I really believe that's going to be the case pretty soon. But give an idea here, it says a new study from NORC at the University of Chicago, an independent social research institution, found that 51% of working adults in the United States would need to access savings to cover necessities if they miss more than one paycheck. So 51% of working adults, and I believe this was a survey out of 1,000, but give you more insight into it. It gives a little grasp here, but it says certain communities were more prone to economic hardship in the event of a missing a paycheck. Roughly 2/3 of households earning less than $30,000 annually and Hispanic households would be able to cover basic living expenses after missing more than one paycheck, the research found. And so here, actually, it says number of paychecks workers can miss before dipping into savings. And so to the very left of this, it gives you the categories. It says I could miss 3 or more paychecks. And this is according to 1,000 people surveyed, 1,010 it says. And then the next one is I could miss 2 paychecks. Then the yellow tab is I could miss 1 paycheck. And then the dark green is I could not miss any paychecks. And so according to demographic at the very bottom, is Hispanics is 38% of people who could not miss a paycheck. Black and non-Hispanic, 29%. It says white and Hispanic is 30%. And as a total of all races, all will be 31%. So 31% of the people surveyed could not afford to miss a single check. And then people in the orange, I could miss 3 or more amongst the white community is a lot higher at 30%. But yet in total, 26%. So just interesting how out of the 1,000 people surveyed according to race, this is what it broke down to here. Of course, many Americans don't have savings to fall back on. A study from Home Repair Service, Home Service USA, found that roughly 50% of consumers either have nothing set aside to cover an emergency or less than $500 put away. It says the NORC study found that most workers would manage a missed paycheck by cutting spending on non-essential items. And so just recently I did a little update on the whole tariff situation and how an economist who was a former treasurer, a part of the Bush administration, referenced that at this current rate now, with the 25% increase on tariffs, the average household of a median household of 61,000 or more will probably end up paying an additional 500 plus in the cost of goods in reference to things they normally buy because of these tariffs. And so that right there, that extra $500 or more, if it was to be utilized for this survey here, people who make about 30,000 or so would definitely equal to closer to 1,000 or so, just because of the hardship on people not being able to actually dig deeper into the current income they have, nevertheless be able to find a little bit more for their current goods and services. So it will be definitely tough. Scroll down some more. But other methods consumers would employ to handle a gap in the income could have serious long-term ramifications. It says around 2 in 5 consumers say they would stop putting money away into savings, while more than a quarter reported that they would stop making retirement contributions. Arguably more concerning, though, is how many Americans would turn to debt. And that's what this is all about here. If a good portion of the population, according to this survey of roughly 1,000 people, are not able to actually function beyond 1 or 2 checks, the more than likely the scenario they would face is that when things get tough, that they will more than likely turn to debt. So therefore, I can see in the next, definitely in the next year or two, as the economy slows down, and especially if this whole recession talk, if it becomes real to where it becomes mainstream and people begin feeling it, I can see a spike of more people looking to take out credit card debt, which could be beneficial for the banking sector because they, of course, in order to keep the credit cycle going, they're going to extend credit. And I'm sure they'll probably adjust the credit scores and all that stuff like that to keep this thing going. So I can see an issuance of more credit cards and loans in the days ahead, as long as the banking sector is intact and able to still issue loans. So this situation here is more of an indication of the true state of our economy, because not everyone is able to say that they are capable of living beyond 3, 4, 5 paychecks if there's an emergency or whatnot. So this is what's happening. Thought I would take a minute. Other than that, I would love to hear what you think about this whole matter. Leave a comment down below. More importantly, look forward to bringing you more of these little quick takes. Thanks.